See you, Christine.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Christine Holland. I'm the founder of the MAWB, the Mississauga and Area Women in Business Network. And we're so excited today to have Julia back with us. She has presented once before, maybe twice before, in the fall. And we're excited to partner with her again and have her here with us this spring. Or no, this is winter, but I'm sure we'll have her in the spring as well. So Julia's presentation today is very exciting title, Optimize Your Customer Journey. I think working with my social media clients, I think everyone needs a better understanding of the customer journey. But today, Julia is going to share with us how we can optimize our customer journey for hot leads, satisfied clients, and great referrals. There's like a trifecta right in there. We all need that, don't we? Okay, so before I hand it over to Julia, I just want to share a little bit about her. Julia is the founder of Successful and Smart Business Coaching. She transforms the mindset of ambitious women, solo business owners to operate in a state of abundance. We all need that. Get away scarcity, bring on abundance, right? This enables these women to expand their visions and operations and make the impact they desire. And finally, to put an end to playing small, hey, and living the life that we really want. Julia has over 20 years of experience in sales and marketing and process development and several advanced coaching technique certifications. So welcome, Julia. We're so glad to have you here, and we are all listening with open ears.
Thank you so much, Lily. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Marketing is a passion of mine. And what I love about it is that once someone understands some of the basics or the fundamentals, it just makes that part of working a business easier. Instead of making it a full-time job, it just makes it something that you can streamline and then move on to the other aspects of business building. So to start, I'm going to ask a question. And you can just raise your hand. How many of you are familiar with the customer buying journey or the customer journey, just in general? Yeah. Okay, so we have a couple of hands there. All right. Well, this one I'll ask you to put in the chat. What do you know about the customer buying journey? What is it that you know about it? And thank you for participating, so I don't have to read blanks and make up stuff. The process that the customer follows. That's awesome. I'll just give you a few more moments. If you can just share with me what it is that you know about the customer buying journey. It's just really what you believe, what you know, whatever that may be. Know, like, trust. We have directing the customer to what you want them to purchase or creating a process to guide them to what they think they need. We have the process the customer follows from when they come to know about the product to the final buying action. Okay, interesting. Very, very, very good answers. Obviously, I guess, customer buying journey, kind of like self-explanatory. It's always good to know what people's understanding is, so that it just gives a frame point from where to go. Okay, what I'd love for you to share is what you wish you knew about the customer buying journey. And again, in the chat, if you will, what you wish you knew or understood about it. Know more about handling objections. Oh yes, those mighty sales scripts.
I wasn't referring to sales scripts. I was actually referring to more of the psychological part of it, not just the route, not just the buyer said this, so do that. If the buyer says this, it's more about, it's relationship building, right?
Yes.
And even as I
it.
wrote that, I was thinking, well, if you really know who your customer is, and if you really know their pain points, and if you really know the solution you provide, right? I got ahead of myself.
I hear you. And yet, it's funny when you say that, I'm like, there's so much we're expected to know and understand, when the truth is, who walks out the gate knowing any of these things? Like seriously, sometimes questions that mentors or business coaches would ask me, and I'm a business coach, I'll think to myself, do you think I spend all day, every day sitting here, like trying to fit? I have a life. Right timing for the customer, the in between. Yes, this is all good. Thank you. How to achieve as close to 100% buy as possible. Isn't that the truth? We want those hot leads. We want those satisfied clients. We want those great referrals. And so what I'm going to do today is give you an overview. So this is whether you are very familiar with the customer buying journey or not. I'd like you to set aside anything that you know, or just come to this with curiosity and openness, and allow whatever thoughts or questions to come up. Maybe put them in the chat, or wait until we get to the end, but also write them down. So what I like to do when I'm listening to presentations is, because automatically my mind is thinking, how do I apply this to my business? I like to write things down, maybe put a question mark or an asterisk around things that are not clear. A lot of times ideas come to us, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they should be implemented right away. It could be like a baking process or a planting process. Some things just need to be put out there, and then you leave it alone and see what happens with it. Sometimes when we act too soon on ideas or information we receive, they're half-baked, and we don't end up with the results that we want. So it's always just a good idea to just put everything down and then just go with it. So we're going to look at an overview of the customer buying journey. Now, there up to 7 stages of the customer buying journey. And I'm not interested in going through all 7 stages with you. What we'll do is I'll give you the 3 stages, because all these 7 stages can be broken down into 3 stages. And what we're going to do after we look at them is see how it applies to your marketing. Now, when I say your marketing, this means what you're already doing or thinking of doing or have already tried. I'm not an advocate of go out and buy shiny new things. I'm not an advocate of throw everything out and start again from scratch. I am a huge advocate of look at what you're already doing, see what's working, see what's not, and start making your tweaks from there. That's really how I approach my entire life. Because just going out and getting new things just because someone said so, it just ends up with a lot of confusion. And I don't care for that. So I'm going to start off by telling you my made up story that I love to tell when I'm presenting this topic, because it ends up making quite a bit of sense for everyone. Huge disclaimer, I'm going to use Tylenol in my example. I am not advocating for Tylenol or pharmaceutical products. I feel I need to say this. I use this example because it's widely understood. Most people in the different countries and continents that I speak with understand what a painkiller is. So our main character is Mary. Mary wakes up one morning. She's a busy entrepreneur. She's a mom. She's a wife. She's a caretaker, all the things. So she wakes up in the morning and she has a headache. And she's like, okay, that's annoying. But, Mary goes on her business. She has things to do. The moment she gets up, life comes at her. So off she goes, doing the things. The thing is, this pesky little headache is not going anywhere. And by mid-morning, Mary is like, you know what? Maybe I should try more water. That's helped in the past. And so she drinks water. She kind of like eats more, have good food, drinks water. And she's like going on about the rest of her day. But the headache is still not going anywhere. So Mary says, I'm just going to lie down for a bit, which makes sense. She goes and she takes a bit of a nap and she wakes up. And by the time she wakes up, her headache is now like just at another level where it's like, okay, this isn't working for me. I still have a very long day ahead. I still have a lot of things planned to do. I need this headache to go away, and it's not going. Now, Mary, because she's involved in, she's got a busy life, she also has close-knit friends and family members that she chats with throughout the day. And, like they kind of know what's going on because she's mentioned it several times. And at this point, people are like throwing things out at her, like, maybe you should try this, maybe you should try that. And someone's like, just go take a Tylenol. And Mary's like, you know what? I don't have any Tylenol in the house, or I would have taken one by now. And I just honestly couldn't be bothered to go out and buy one. But we're getting to that place where I am really going to have to start thinking about taking a Tylenol because I have a long day still ahead and this isn't working out for me. And everybody's like, yeah, go get it. Let us know what happens. And they continue chatting about whatever else they were chatting about that day. So Mary decides, okay, we're going to bundle up. It's, snowy Ontario. And she goes out to the neighborhood plaza. And of course, there are many different options of where she could go, but she heads straight into the Shoppers Drug Mart. And she goes to the painkiller section, picks out her Tylenol, goes home. And within 20 minutes, she starts to feel better. All right. So right there was a customer buying journey. Mary buying Tylenol. Now let's break this down so that we can see how this very natural cycle of a human solving a problem applies in the marketing world. So let's start with the interest stage. So the very first piece to any kind of human change, and this is something that you are aware of, maybe have not consciously thought of it, is awareness. You notice that when it comes to any kind of change you've ever made in your entire life, it always starts with being aware of something different, right? Awareness. Now, I mentioned that we're going to talk about the 3 parts of the customer buying journey, which is interest, consideration, and purchase. Awareness falls into the interest bucket. Awareness in our story is when Mary woke up and she was aware she had a headache. That is awareness. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to marketing, just because someone is aware they have a problem doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. And I'll give you an example. How often have you gone out, let's say, to a networking event and you've described your ideal client, and the person you're speaking with is like, that's me, that's exactly my story. But it doesn't end up in anything more than that. They just talk about the problem. You try and show them the solution. They may or may not take your card. You probably won't hear from them again. They may or may not follow you on social media, and that's about it. This is the interest stage. So in the interest, the person knows there is a problem. They are aware of a need or a desire. They know what the specific problem is, so they can pinpoint it. Like Mary can say, I have a headache. It's on the left side, my temple. Now, the person wants a solution, but they're still very comfortable. This means that they are likely not to do anything outside of whatever it is that they're currently doing to find a solution. This is going to be very important as we keep going. Now, when it comes to marketing, this is where your presentations or webinars, samples, if you offer products, blog posts, social media, if you do podcasts or other kind of interviews, this is where that marketing works, because what you're doing is you're providing useful information. So you're solving the initial problem by providing useful information, just providing useful information. The key here is that these are not your hot leads. This is where a lot of people waste a lot of time trying to bring in that cold traffic in and have them buy immediately. Whereas the truth is, these are people who are interested because they are aware there is a problem, but they're not in a position, state, mental capacity, nothing to buy. So if you try to sell them, you will turn them off. For our example, if at the moment that Mary woke up and said, oh crap, I have a headache, if it was like, have a Tylenol, it would have turned her off. That's not where her head was. So this is meeting people where they are. So this is where you play the long game with your marketing strategy, which is that you simply figure out a way to always be there, survive, no matter what. Be the person that if someone was to go Google your name or show up on your favorite social media platform or the one where your people hang out, you are there. That really is it. Don't put too much energy into more than just presence, because this is the awareness, the interest stage. Now, where we go deeper into the interest stage is where Mary started looking at water and napping and food, because the pain is becoming a little bit such that it's interfering with how she lives her life, right? It's interfering with her plans for the day. It's interfering with how she feels and how she wants to feel. So now she's looking at what she can do to get rid of the pain. Now notice this, she's still not going out of her way. She's using solutions that are close by, like I'm just gonna go get a glass of water from the tap. I'm just gonna go into the fridge and pull out last night's leftovers. So at this point, your potential customer who is nowhere near your orbit of sight is trying to solve their problem already by doing what they know or what they think they know. This is important because again, if you come selling to someone in this stage, they're just not going to buy. That's not where they are mentally, psychologically, physically. That's just not where they are. They are aware of the pain. They are interested in a solution, but they're still a little bit comfortable, which means that they're going to do what they've always done in the hope that it's going to work. Now, for this stage, for the interest, this is where you really just want to like give more information, where you're speaking to the problem, helping them with their awareness and leading them to why this is happening. The person who is interested is eating up your information because what you're doing is you're helping their belief about it already. Okay. And again, this is where you want to play the long game with your marketing, meaning you don't want to put too much effort into this. So figure out what's going to help you still have your name out there, still have your products and services out there without putting too much into it. Because remember, at this stage, these are not your hot leads yet. And they probably are not even in your orbit. The most you'll know is if they sign up, say, to show up for your webinar, or if they like a social media post, or if they sign up on your landing page. They're telling you they're interested, but that's not really where you go and start selling. Okay, let's go to consideration. Consideration is where the pain is high enough, powerful enough, that you're actively considering solutions and going out of your way to find them. So this is where Mary has now taken her pain from, drinking water and trying to solve it herself and ignore it, to like actively speaking with her family and friends and saying, like, I've tried this, I've tried that, and getting their opinions. Why is this important? Because a lot of times before people buy from you, they go see what others are saying about you, or what others are suggesting, or where most of the people are going for their information. It's a very natural thing to do, and it's tied to our biology. We naturally don't want to go out of our way to get out of the herd. We want to know, what are you doing that's working, and then start from there. So for consideration, Mary, whom you could never have told her in the morning, just go out and buy the Tylenol, come back, get it over and done with, is now seriously considering it. Why? Because the pain is greater than her comfort level. In consideration, this is the stage where you're now looking at this over that. Why this? Why not that? This is, okay, I tried drinking water, it didn't work. That's why I'm not drinking more water. I ate, actually made me feel a bit more nauseous, so forget that. I tried lying down, it didn't quite work for me. I'm fully now ready to go out and buy a Tylenol. You see that? So for this stage of marketing, this is where you want to focus on the testimonials, the 5-star Google reviews. This is where your long sales pages come in, or your longer blog posts. Now, when I give you all these examples for marketing, it's not to say go out and do them all. It's look at what you already have and then decide from that what you're going to do with that information. So if you have a pricing page, this is where you give the differences, what are the benefits of signing up for one package over another? And we know that software companies do this best, right? When they go and they tell you have the standard, gold, and premium package, and you can see what the benefits are, what you're getting for them. So at this stage in consideration, the person is pretty much trying to make up their mind. And the information they're looking at is what makes you the solution. So if you have any awards, if you have anything that makes them feel like, okay, you're peer reviewed, you're good to go, you're not fake. And this is also the stage where people go look at your website. Now, here's something very interesting about your website. Most people will check out your website and social media profiles, not because they want to find out more information about you, which is what you would think. It's really to make sure that you're real and not a scam. That's the true psychological reason. It's to go and reassure themselves, because a lot of people make purchase decisions. They also still need to convince someone at home, maybe a significant other or a relative or a peer, why they made that decision. So this is them gathering the evidence to support their decision. What they believe to be a logical decision is actually an emotional one, right? So at this stage, what you're looking at is your long sales pages, testimonials, case studies. Case studies go over extremely well because people can then see what you did and how it applies to them and how they can maybe get the same results. This is where you have your promises, and your promises should be true. Like if you say that, the painkiller works in 20 minutes, that better be it, or your Google reviews will be quite the opposite. This is where differences, like if you're crafting products for sale, let's say, where you might stand out is where you're like handcrafted with love. Like this is where you have those things that make it different, that showcase that you are different. And then purchase is the stage where Mary went out of the different stores in the plaza, she settled on the Shoppers Drug Mart. Why? Because she knew that was a drug mart, and so they would sell painkillers, and that's specifically what she was looking for. So for the purchase stage, you are looking at making it very, very easy for the person to buy from you. That's why you have the big red colors, or the colors that really stand out for the purchase or the buy now. You want to make it super easy and clear for them. When I worked for TELUS, which is a Fortune 500 company, and this was several decades ago, one thing that was so important was that it had to take no more than 3 clicks for someone to buy something. Meaning that if you went on a website, or you went on a sales page, or you went on a social media platform and you were interested in buying, it shouldn't take more than 3 clicks for that sale to be complete. And that was based on research that suggested after the 3 clicks, the rate of interest dramatically reduced. Why? Because now it's getting tedious and boring, and you know what? Something else has taken that person's attention. That's why for the purchase pages, it's very important to be really super clear. This is what you're getting. This is the price. This is how you get it. Really super clear. Okay, so let's talk about leads for a moment here. Cold lead, warm lead, hot lead. These are all words that I'm sure that we all have a bit of an understanding of, being business owners or wanting to sell products and services. The thing about it is our experiences sometimes are really interesting. So for example, you might find that on social media, or if you give a talk or something, you have someone, you've never met them before, they come out to you and they ask you questions and they seem very interested. And so for you, you think, oh, this is cool. This is a hot lead, right? And then you wonder why it didn't quite turn out the way you thought it would. Or you find yourself following up with someone who said, hey, follow up with me. And when you do, it seems that they lost interest. Sometimes the marketing game can be quite defeating or deflating. there was a time there when it reminded me of bad relationships. So it's like, why do I feel like I'm chasing you? Like, I don't understand. Like, isn't it supposed to be this joyous union of you want me, I want you? What's all with all the games, you know? So let's just get some of those myths out of the way. So the cold lead is someone who doesn't know enough about you or care enough about you to form an opinion, and it's not personal. And even if they know about you or your brand, or they've heard about you, there is no emotional connection or charge, meaning they can hear you, they cannot hear you, life goes on. Nothing will change. That's a cold lead. Now, here's the unfortunate thing. A lot of people don't pay attention to cold leads because they're like, oh, I don't want them, I only want the hot leads. And it's true. I mean, the title of my presentation is Hot Leads, right? But what they don't understand is that your hot lead was once a cold lead. You know, if you're growing something, before you get that beautiful tree or plant that you are in love with, it started out with a seed, a nothing, a deadish thing. So what you do with the cold leads is you don't put too much of your time, money, and effort into them because you understand that they're in the awareness stage and they're not yet interested in you. But what you do is you do your very best to maintain a consistent presence. I say this because I know being out there all the time is hard. And sometimes when the money's not coming in, it's hard to justify what you're doing, showing up every day. And yet, if you don't show up, someone who needs you and is ready will not find you. So when I say do your best, I mean, look at your marketing strategies and what you have, and then figure out what is the easiest way for you to be consistently online or offline. What is the easiest way for you to do that and not put yourself out financially, mentally, physically, emotionally, but that you're still maintaining that interest? Because your cold lead is someone who is out there. They don't yet care about you, but because you're consistently out there, they know about you. And I'll tell you this, people who've paid me at least $10,000 have followed me for several years. I did not know them. And if they had not mentioned where they found me, I would not have known. Now, how many things have I done in which I was like, what a waste of time. Oh my God, why do I do this to myself? Right? Like, you can play that game, or you can be like, I'm showing up. I'm going to be more stubborn than any problems I ever experienced in my business because I'm bigger and better than that. You just got to have that attitude and just figure out what works for you in that regard. So for your cold lead, it's almost like when you hear a new song on the radio, you don't know who the person is, you may or may not like it, whatever. That's a cold lead. If you hear them again and again and again and again, you start to pick them up. Right? And you start to notice the differences, and you might say, actually like that, and then go in. So your warm lead is the person who they generally follow you, they generally like you. So you'll notice that they engage a lot with, let's say, your social media or anything that you present that doesn't cost them anything. So again, if you go back to our initial example, remember Mary was looking for solutions that did not take her outside her comfort zone. That's your warm lead. They know they have a problem. They know they want it resolved, or they have a desire, they want it achieved or accomplished, but they're really not getting out of their comfort zone to do this. So if you give them a freebie or a sample or something, they'll take it because it costs them nothing. Whether they do something with it or not, that's a completely different topic for another day. But with this group, again, it's not really putting time, money, and effort in trying to convert them to be buyers, because this is where they are. They're in that interest stage where the pain is not strong enough, or the desire is not strong enough for them to do something. But what you want to do is keep bringing them closer. This is where you have your presentations. This is where you have your lead magnets. This is where you have interviews or podcasts, and you want different varieties, because people receive information in different ways, and also because hearing you on a podcast will give them a different effect than reading something of yours on a social media post. It's really I hate to put it this way, but it's almost like trying to get a toddler to fall in love with the food that they need to eat, right? Like you're gonna play different games, you're gonna try different ways to get that interest and engagement, and you're not gonna give up just because they said no. You're gonna just try and see what works for them. Exactly, Christine, the 7 to 12 touch points. And where people get tired and inflated and lazy is they're like, oh, I sent out an email, and oh, I've been putting out social media, and oh, we had a phone call and nothing happened. Oh, that's it. I'm throwing my business. That's it. I've gone to bed, never be seen again. Nah.
I often hear my clients say things like, oh, well, I posted about it once and no one signed up, so no one must like that topic. I'm like, once? That's
Mhm,
it? Like,
mhm,
girl,
mhm,
you
mhm.
gotta
Just
post
like,
it everywhere until they're like, wow, all I see is your ads. Can you stop? Now you know you made a difference.
now you know you made a difference. Thank you. Sorry, but no, you telling me that you go to the gym, and when I ask you how many times and get the details and find out it was the one day on January 1st and never again after that, doesn't qualify. So when you're wondering where those abs are, look at what you are doing. So it's pretty much the same way. Now, the hot lead is when the person sets up an appointment or actively seeks you, and from their languaging, they're very direct. They're simply looking at a way to give you their money. Now, when I talk about the clients who've paid me upwards of $10,000 reaching out to me after many years of being a cold lead or a warm lead and not anywhere near my line of sight, when they reach out to me, they are simply looking for what is the next step. And you'll hear those kind of words that will let you know this is someone who's ready to buy. What is the next step? Or how do I sign up to join your program? Or do you take, credit cards? Or do you take money, email transfers? So that is a person who's ready to purchase. And when you hear that at this stage, this is where a lot of people let themselves down, is you've got to trust the marketing, especially if you have clear lines and channels. You've got to trust the marketing that brought them to this point and simply proceed with the purchase stage. What I mean by this is sometimes someone is ready to buy and they're speaking with you, but you're more interested in taking them a few steps back to really, really, really make sure that this is a really, really, really ideal client and this is really, really what you want to do. And are you sure you can pay? And other times really mess up the conversation by throwing in all these freebies and all these different things because all your fears have come up and you're like, I got to give them more. I got to make this price worth it before I give it to them. I got to tell them all the things I'm going to give them. And they talk themselves out of a sale, or they talk their client out of the potential client out of a sale. So a lot of trust is involved in this, that especially if, let's say you've set out your marketing in such a way that by the time you're getting that call or contact, the person who's messaging you or sending you an email or coming in through any of your forms, when you look back, you can see, okay, this is the channel that they came through. And you're asking them, you're not just, yes, you're asking them, so, how did you hear about me? And you're getting that information and you see where they're coming from. You have to trust that you've done the work to set it up so that the ideal client comes to you. Make it as easy as possible for both of you. Give them the best buying experience and let that be your now satisfied customer. So what makes for a satisfied customer? It's when you literally give them what you promised you would give them. And one of the best things about the buying journey is that when you map it out, you're going to use the same language in all your marketing. You're going to use the same language in all your fulfillment so that nothing is a surprise. You're not making things up as you go, in the sense that you tell them, hey, consider us because we offer this, that, and the other. And then when it comes to purchase, it's like, oh yeah, I changed my mind. That was too much work. Like, map it out so that you can give them what you promised, which gives you that satisfied client. And a satisfied client is always going to give you a great referral because you're going to end up with more of what you already have.
Julia, I love that suggestion about repurposing that content everywhere. A lot of times my clients will say, well, I have to have something different on Facebook than on Instagram, than on LinkedIn. No, your offer is your offer. You can repeat that messaging everywhere. So if they only are on Instagram, they're hearing it. If they're only on LinkedIn, they're hearing. If they're everywhere, they're hearing it. And repeat that same thing in your email, in your text message, in your on your website. I love that because it makes things a whole heck of a lot easier
You
when we
nailed
have
it.
multiple platforms that we are present on. So that's a great
You
suggestion.
nailed it. And you know what? I'll tell you this, like a lot of times when we see, especially social media, so I'll just stick to that. When we see the kind of marketing that's being put out on social media, it can make you feel like you need to be part of that. But if you're not careful, you're going to spend 40 hours a week on something that technically should be bringing you 40 hours of work. You know, like, what's the point of marketing? The point of marketing is so that you are known, so that people know you, and an easy way for you to make sales, and it leads to your sales. But by not being careful, people end up making marketing the job, where it's like, you know, I'll speak with people, I'll be like, okay, so what did we do? Well, I've been working on that landing page, and as you know, it's so hard. 2 weeks, you know, there's a point where you need to have set up something, gone out and started to test it so that you can get the actual language to put into your landing page. If you really, really, really think about it, there's some things that you bought that were not complicated at all. In fact, there are people who've bought from you when you barely were ready, when you barely had a website or barely had this or that. Now, I'm not saying, you know, just go out and don't care about any of these things. What I am saying is, do not make what is supposed to be a part of the business the job, because I'm pretty sure that's not what you signed up for when you started the business. It wasn't so that you could spend your entire life bemoaning the fact that you're not bringing in leads or clients, and then tying it to your self-worth, and then tying it to every past failure in your life, and then tying it to, you know, everything negative anyone has ever told you, and then tying it to why you'll never succeed in business, which is what eventually happens when you don't put things in their proper place. But if you're to look at your marketing and say, okay, have I mapped out my customer journey? Like, what is the trigger? And a trigger would be like, Mother's Day is coming up, so some people will be looking to spend. That's a trigger. Wedding is coming up, so some people will be looking to look and feel their best. That's a trigger. So looking at where you are in your business and whom you serve, it's mapping out their journey. Now, it's not mapping it out according to what you think, which is what a lot of people do also, is they say, well, they're going to come in through my social media because they're bored and they're scrolling. That's great. But what is it that's going to make them actually stop, read it, interest, sign up or answer to your call to action, consideration, and end up having that conversation with you or pressing the buy button, purchase, right? So it's just mapping them out logically, making the emotional connections, and then repurposing that information so that you're targeting hot leads, warm leads, cold leads, without making it everything and having yourself that really good stream of ongoing clients, if that's what you wish. Now, I know that this is all easier said than done, which is why I am doing a 4-week workshop in March. And if you're interested in learning more about this, I'd love to put my Calendly information here. We're partnering with
You're going to put
MAWB.
it in the chat?
I will.
Okay. You put it in once and then I can copy it.
Excellent. And yeah, so if you're interested in learning more about this, about what we're going to cover in those 4 weeks, please give me a call. So I'm trying to speak and write at the same time. Yeah, I think I got it. Yeah. But really, the function of the 4-week course is so that we can map out your journey, we can streamline your marketing efforts. Moving forward, you know what you're doing and why you're doing it. It also helps you with your yeses and your nos, meaning when marketing opportunities come up, or you want to jump onto the next fad or the next software, based on your customer journey, based on what you have decided, it's going to be an easy yes or no. So that's the true benefit from that, is the peace of mind. And that's really why I love giving these kinds of presentations. If we can just simplify the information that people have and need, and just really distill it to just, what do you need to know? These are the parts. Take care of those parts and go on your merry way. Don't spend years of your life, you know, lamenting something or spending money on something that you really shouldn't be. Not in that sense.
I really like that point. you made it a couple times about, social media shouldn't be your full-time job. You're a
Mm.
business owner and you sell legal, or you sell insurance, or you sell whatever it is. And I think that too many people, because social media is free, to put too many eggs in that basket. And we have to become more well-rounded when it comes to marketing. And try different things to kind of even that out. And I know Maria's like, yep. So Maria does email marketing for clients, for sure. And I started doing free 30-minute training sessions. And that has been a winner for me. And I wasn't doing it before just because, I don't have time, but actually spending less time on social media, and that 30 minutes there has actually been way more beneficial.
That's exactly it. It's that. And for social media, the thing that used to bother me so much was just because you see what's happening out there, you don't have the backstory, you don't see what's on the back end, thinking, oh, I gotta do this because that's what my mentor's doing, or that's what I see people, my peers are doing. I gotta do this, I gotta do this. Number one, you're not making any money. Number two, you're spending so much time and energy there that it's emotionally draining you. You're not even finding a way to compensate for that. Number three, you're creating problems in your relationships because all the other person sees you doing is spending all this time on social media. Like, where's the work? Like, what are you doing? You're not exactly bringing in money, but you're spending all this time on social. You're engaging with people who, unfortunately, are in that awareness and interest stage where they are aware they have a problem or they have a need or desire, but they're not comfortable. They're still comfortable. And you will know this when you hear, so when you're speaking with people, or when you're reading through social media comments or anything like that, or even emails that may come to you, you will know that the person is in awareness or interest when they simply talk about the problem, and that's it. I need help, and then they simply talk about the problem. Those are the people we tend to give the most time to because they pull at our heartstrings, but this is where I would caution you. What you want to do is see where they are by asking them what they've already tried. So remember my Mary story? You want to know, did you just wake up and discover you have a headache? Or did you try the water, food, nap? Or did you try, what have you done? And this, we don't ask this question, which means we don't get intel, which means we start going into purchase. You want to know what they've already done because that will tell you where they are. Now, someone is in consideration when they come to you, they tell you the problem, but more than that, they give you their desires. And their desires is not, so I'll give you an example. If someone comes to you and says, hey, I need your help, I want to buy a house, I'm so broke, I don't know what to do, I don't have a way to bring in money, and they're just talking about that, well, then that's awareness interest. But if they say, however, I started 2-3 jobs, I've borrowed about $10,000 from XYZ, I've been ramping up my credit, they're telling you what they've already done. And now I'm at that place where I need to know what else I can do or if I'm good to go. They're telling you what their desire is. That is consideration. You see that? And they're so powerful, small shifts. Just paying attention to where someone is will let you know where they are. Now, where we go wrong is we think, oh, I don't want to turn someone away. Don't. Just lead them to the part of your marketing that's part of where they are. So if you're listening to someone who's like, oh, I'm in the gutter, I can't move, oh, life, oh, say, okay, well, I have this free training that's gonna lift your mood up or whatever the case may be. Give them something that's for the interest stage and then move on. If you have someone who's in the consideration stage, but they're not yet, and they're telling you things like, yeah, so I've been speaking with a couple of people and I'm just looking into my options, lead them to the marketing that's in the consideration stage and you move on. What we try and do is stick with that one person and hold on to them for dear life and convince them that you're the one. And that's a disastrous relationship. Instead, listen or read or pay attention, see where they are, and then remember my Mary story and ask, what does this person need right now? Give that to them. They will naturally follow the course to purchase. May take a month, may take 2 days, may take a year, who cares? You're moving on. You're not getting stuck on one person because you have a business to run, you have a life, and you also want to know if your marketing is working. If you're listening to someone who's like, this is what I'm considering, or, I'd love to hire you, but I don't have that kind of money, well, don't spend your days convincing them. Take them to the part of the marketing that speaks to that. Meaning, well, you know what? It's interesting you say that, because one of the clients who actually paid me $10,000, she was making maybe $900 out of her business, but we actually captured her case study. If and I'll just show you exactly what she did, and you just forward that information, right? So you give the testimonials, the case studies, or even any information that can absolutely help them, but does not require anything else from you. And then you listen to the ones who say, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I've done, this is what I want to do. And the reason I'm coming to you is because I like your approach with A, B, C. Let them know what your offer is. And then shut up. Let everything that you want to say it in your head with your mouth closed. Like, just let it all out in your head with your mouth closed. Don't talk yourself out of the sale. Don't talk them out of the sale. Just shut up and say it all in your head. All in your head. You just be quiet and then hear their yes or no. And again, life goes on. And if maybe they're like, that's still too much for me, it means they're still not convinced. Take them back to the consideration stage mentally and give them something from the marketing you've already put out there. There's so many times when people will say to me, yeah, well, you're not helpful because I can't afford you. And now what am I supposed to do? And I'm like, I'm on social media every day, giving out free information. If you really, really, really wanted to grow your business, do what I did before I could afford to pay anyone. I went and consumed everything they put out, everything. And I applied it in my business. That's what I expect you to do, Lead them to where they can still get help. But for you, more importantly, move on. Move on. Keep it going. Instead of, oh man, I only have one person that I spoke with this month, ask yourself, what can I do so that next month I have more people to speak with? Instead of, man, I thought I would have $3,000 in my bank account by now. Say, well, what can I do so that that likelihood is greater? And by doing that, you don't get caught up with who's hot, who's warm, who's cold, who's coming, who's not. And just really taking care of the interest, consideration, and purchase stage, you can trust that when the person comes and says, I want to pay you, or when they pay you, that you did the work. And now you can do the fun part, which is actually delivering what you want to do in the first place. Yeah. I love that. I had a client whose coach told her, don't chase hesitation. Yes. And my mentor said this to me in 2015, and it's always stayed with me. Money doesn't love confusion. And it's so true. Money doesn't change hands where there's confusion. Yeah. So I feel like I've just been talking. Does anyone have any question for me or a comment?
I have a quick question. So you had awareness, interest, consideration, and then do you actually have the purchase? Is that what you're considering, the kind of 4 stages you talked about today?
So the 3 stages. So awareness falls into interest. Awareness is, yes, interest. So when we say interest, it's, oh, I have a problem or I have a desire. But really the first stage is awareness. And there are about 7 stages altogether in the customer buying journey. And depending on how much of a marketer you are or how deep you want to go, they're up to 9 stages. It's kind of like anything else in life, right? You can go and it's just a rabbit hole. The 3 stages we want to really be aware of is the interest, consideration, and purchase. And the awareness is that starting point. And why I really focused on awareness is because a lot of times people will try and turn a buyer out of someone who's aware they have a problem without really paying attention to where are they though, mentally or psychologically in the journey. If someone says, I want to go running, don't suggest to them Mount Kilimanjaro. It's not where they are. Like, you're going to turn them off completely, Or, hey, I go running every Saturday, come with me. That again is pressure. You're going to turn them off. It's where are you? And really listening to that and then speaking to that. So that even as a service provider, maybe I'm the one who sells Tylenol. If I'm speaking with Mary right off the bat and she's like, yeah, I have this headache, but I have all these things that I want to do and it's just bothering me. If I suggest Tylenol to her, I know that I'll turn her off. But what I could do is, oh, have you tried a glass of water? Guess what? By the time she decides, hey, you sell Tylenol, can I buy one? She's already loved me because I didn't just start selling to her from the beginning. I even offered alternatives that had nothing to do with me and would not give me any money. And what that shows is that I cared about her finding her solution where she was without imposing my own, which is so important. But if I said, hey, have you tried water? She's like, yeah, I tried water. Like, it's just going through the steps. What else have you tried? What are you willing to try? And then seeing where the person is. Now, when she gets to the place where she's like, I'm thinking about, maybe I should just go out and buy Tylenol, or I don't know, maybe I should just drink more water. That's where you can come in and show the benefits. Well, if you take the Tylenol within 20 minutes, it's going to cure your headache. And then she'll be like, oh, yeah, do you sell it? Yes, I do, actually. Yeah. Is it a trial method on all social media types? What if there's not even one response? How do you know where you're wrong? Do you keep moving, keep it going? When you don't get any kind of response, that is a response. What I would suggest is look at what you're posting. One of the things about social media is if you post just to post, people sense that. It's weird, but true. People sense that. You'll notice that when you post and you're posting from the heart or you're sharing something that's happened to you, there's an emotional charge, you get so many reactions. And yet when you post something that you just posted, just to post, you'll get no reaction. Now, with that said, there's sometimes when you post something with a lot of passion, you're very excited, and crickets. So what I would say is when you start really looking at what's not working, or one particular social media channel or something like that, you get into a pathological state where you really pick it apart and you're not doing anything useful. Instead, map out your customer journey, figure out the parts, either create that content or use the content you already have with some tweaks so that it fits the interest, consideration, and purchase, and then keep it moving. When I say keep it moving, I mean keep going where your person is. Keep doing the other parts of the business by ensuring that you give your clients a really great experience. You're inviting more referrals. And yes, it takes consistency. And again, if you're looking at your social media and you're like, oh, well, this isn't working and maybe it works for someone else, it's again, look at your journey. What I've found is for marketing that doesn't work, there's a poor understanding of your target market. What people are doing is they're putting out stuff that they think or they wish will work, but in actuality, that's not how their person buys. That's not how their person buys at all. So, it's just not gonna work. Like, it just won't work. Like, for me, I wish I could tell you that people come to me if they don't hear from me or they don't see me, but that's just not how they are. They need to hear me speak. They need to hear my thoughts, because the people I attract are very value driven. So they need to know and understand that we share the same values. And the only way for them to hear that or see that or feel that is by me sharing my values and my approach. And, whereas I know someone else who she just does YouTube ads and gets her clients in that way. And that absolutely works for her. So it's, again, your customer journey. Who's your person? And working out the very important points and the information you put out, and then measuring that. Like looking at your language. What did I really say in this post? And what was the call to action? Was I just giving information? Well, that's awareness and interest. Don't really expect much, except people saying, yes, this resonates or whatnot. But don't expect much. Now, is this, I'm inviting you to come to a webinar or to take advantage of something that I'm offering? That, again, is your consideration. See who's saying yes, see who's signing up. And if no one is, go take a look at the wording and the language. Are you speaking to the person who's at that stage? What words are you using? And this is all stuff that we cover in the 4-week program. And then for purchase, just make it really easy. Make it really easy. for the person to purchase. No more than 3 clicks, and make it super easy and fun so that, every step of the way, they're not like, oh, is this a really good idea? I don't know. This is iffy. Where is this link going? What is this? Why are they asking me to put in this stuff now? They never said that before. Make it real easy. Make it like a done. I feel accomplished. Yeah. Julia, for local, national, or international clients showing interest, marketing would differ. Local, national, international clients showing interest. So this is what I found. My clients are from Canada, the US, and Africa, and I now have interest from parts of Europe. This is what I found. With Americans, they usually just say yes to anything that I put out in the consideration stage. Now, this can also be tied to the fact that it's a capitalist economy. Americans have no problem spending money, no problems talking about money, no problems going after what they believe. That's just how they are. When my Canadian and English clients, they've been through the awareness, consideration, purchase. It's a longer cycle. So basically what I'm saying here is, based on who you're targeting, understand that how they buy is not just tied to who they are individually, who they are in their family, who they are in their society. It's also tied to how they are in their country. If they are a group of people who need to hear from you and need to hear some things from you, then it's going to be a longer buying cycle. If it's a country or a nation or a continent where people are just used to buying easily, quickly, no problem, then you really just want to make it more about, this is what you're getting, this is how much it is, go, right? Now, you'll notice that there's some difference. For example, in the UK, I may be confusing it with a different country, you put out what they're getting and then the final purchase price. Whereas, say this is the States, you're going to put out what they're getting, and then you're going to give them a price, and then you're going to discount that, and then you're going to tell them, wait, and there's more, wait, and there's more, wait, and there's more, because that's how they buy. So it's paying attention to those nuances. How do people buy? If you don't want to make it complicated, really stick to one person, one type, in one country, and should you get others from other places, make notes or pay attention and organically put out content that would speak to them. But don't go out trying to serve 100 different people with 100 different needs. You end up serving absolutely no one and getting nothing. And it's harsh, but a lot of times what I find is that if I ask you to have just one single focus and understand that that's what's going to allow you to focus on so many other different things in time, people panic and they're like, oh, you're trying to pigeonhole me. And I'm like, I get it. I'm a creative. I get it. But every tree has one trunk. Okay? Many different branches, many leaves, one trunk. What is your trunk? What is your one trunk? What is your one stem? What is that one thing that all these other things can come out of? That's what I'm saying.
Okay, thank you. I've been making notes and I just looked at the time and I realized that it's 1:32. Okay, that was awesome. Thank you so much. This is such a, I don't even feel like we skimmed the top of it today with regard to the customer journey and messaging and how we ourselves, do that mindset to shift through the various stages. But thank you so much. I have so many ideas for social media myself, just in terms of definitions and flowcharts to help people, because you're right. We don't come, we have a passion, food, books, coaching. We're not marketers at heart,
No.
Many of us solopreneurs. So it is something we need to learn to do, like bookkeeping. We need to learn to, or we outsource it, right? So thank you so much for sharing today. If anyone does have any questions, we're done for today, but Julia has been gracious to offer us a complimentary, is it a 15-minute call?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Look at me, I'm like,
So
what is
I
it?
dropped the link again, and she's offered anyone to follow up with her, because a lot of the stuff that I think questions we have are kind of personal, not personal, but specific to our industry, our niche, our clients. Look at this. Even the questions today were all about country, how you can change your messaging and your voice and tone per country, depending on if that's where your audience is. So yeah, I just dropped that link again. I encourage you all, click on it, set up a chat with her to see, get more information about your specifics. And then Julia, did I hear at the beginning say you had some webinar, or were you just using that as an example? I don't know if that matched into one or two, or I know you have a 4-week program coming up.
Oh yes, the 4-week program in March is literally that, diving in and then mapping out your customer journey and making sure that your marketing fits in so that you can just keep it moving. Is
that weekly sessions? Is that, how does that work? Is it in person, online? What's
it's a group, and it's 4 weeks, 1 hour online, and then support throughout so we go through each of the parts, we break it down.
Yeah.
And then there's support throughout the week, so that as you're implementing each part, because you'll have lots of questions, you'll want me to look at your website, you'll want me to look at your messaging, and I do all that. I'm very hands-on, by the way. I'm just like, I'm that creature. I don't believe in people making work out of what should not be work. Yes, this is going to be work initially. You got to set it up. But once you do that, let's move on. Let this not be the reason why you want to give up in life, right? Like, let's move on. Like, set it up right.
Okay. So I'm going to send out the recording, and I'm going to send out the Calendly link. And then if you have any other information, a short blurb, like when it starts, what day of the week it is, what time, that kind of information would be helpful to include as well for people. Okay. And yeah, I'll do that as soon as it renders. I'll download it and upload it and do all that stuff and get it out to you guys or gals. And I encourage you, we're almost like friends here, right? Even if we just met for the first time. So I'm always open to accepting friend requests or LinkedIn connections and supporting your business. So please feel free to send me a friend request. If you're not already a member of the MAWB community, please make sure to jump into our Facebook group and join the group so you can see more workshops like this. And perhaps even you have an idea to run one of these lunch and learn sessions. We're always booking ladies in our community to run lunch and learn sessions. We don't bring in outside guests. One time we did. And the one time we did, it was a guy, but he was really good. But I like to leave this as a platform for the women in the community to be able to, you know, have that space and to share what they're awesome at. So Julia, thank you so much. I'll be seeing you again. Julia and I connect a lot on LinkedIn. And for sure, send her a request today and let her know how she did. Until I see you again, ladies, and stay warm, stay inside, and stay well. Take care.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia.